Crazy? I was crazy once. They locked me in a room, a rubber room where they played Avalanche overtimes, and Avalanche overtimes make me crazy. Avs lose to the San Jose Sharks 3-2 in overtime. Probably going to be a shorter review because there's just not a whole lot original to this game for the Avalanche. It is seemingly a bog standard Avalanche overtime loss with a lot of the same beats that the previous overtime losses this season have had. It was a bit lower scoring, I suppose, and there are some differences in every game, of course, but it was all there. The Avs dominating most of the play at 5-on-5, but not getting rewarded for it and maybe coming up short when you would like them to score a few more goals. The power play being a non-factor, the Avs getting punished for their big mistakes, and then of course the overtime itself being a disaster from your top players. What is also becoming a recurring theme that I actually like, though, is the Avs scoring early, and it's just 30 seconds into the game this time. Setup for this goal is truly beautiful. The Avs are able to get to a puck in deep to create a possession in the offensive zone. The initial movement between MacKinnon and MacKinnon is great. They both go to the wall. Leckie slides to the middle. MacKinnon steps into the space. It's ultimately well defended at first, so MacKinnon goes back out high to Cale. This is all great. You've got two guys in the slot if a shot is coming from Cale, but he ultimately decides to pass off to Taves. As Taves gets it down deep in the corner, MacKinnon slides to the middle. This movement is just beautiful all over. As MacKinnon slashes, Makar steps out up high. You've got the Sharks standing in lines, not doing a very good job defending. All great stuff, and that eventually opens up room for Necas to come out from behind the goal line and get a shot off from inside the dots. It's not a very good shot, but it is room created for an opportunity. And when you put bodies in front causing chaos, some good stuff happens. The puck kicks off of a defender's skate and in. Certainly a bit of a fortunate bounce for that to go in for Necas, but it's great puck movement in the offensive zone, and it was a sign of things to come as the Avs dominated the first 15 minutes of the first period. Honestly, of the 60 minutes of this hockey game, probably 45 to 50 of it was just sheer puck dominance from Colorado. At times, San Jose struggled to even get into the offensive zone at all. It's part of the reason why I'm not very concerned about this loss. Obviously, you would much rather have a win, but the Avs played super well and probably deserved a goal or two more. Some of that is their own fault for not executing on opportunities. Looking at you, Parker Kelly, shorthanded with an open net and the goalie 20 feet out of the net. But we've already seen the Avs have proven against good teams when they need to, they can step up and get goals. They blew out New Jersey the other day. They put 4 on Vegas. This is not a recurring issue like it was earlier in the season. You still don't love it, but you know the Avs will break out of this. So yeah, at one point I think shots were 10-0 in the Avs' favor in the first, and they would end 15-6. The only thing I really regret here is the Avs not being able to find that second goal in the first. If they could just get that puck to go, they might run away with this game. Not the world we live in, and we know even a team who might not be great like the Sharks is still an NHL team, and they're gonna push back. They do so towards the end of the first, and I don't even think this is a major mistake, but it was enough of a mistake to cost the Avs. Sharks gearing up to reload and break out here. They decide to slow it down a little bit before snapping a stretch pass up to the blue line. And there's a couple of issues here. By the time this gets up to the blue line, one, Taves gets beat at that blue line. That is bad, but he's able to get close enough to get himself back into this play, and you have some problems on the backside. Nichushkin just stays with his man on the outside. Totally understandable, but Cale doesn't really read this play the way he needs to. At this point, you're giving Taves this guy. You have to. Cale is playing for a seam pass all the way across because he hasn't recognized that Val is back-checked already and is taking that guy away. Cale's expecting a back-checker to be coming down the middle to take the third man in. Well, he takes this passing lane away. But because he didn't realize where Val was, he ends up creating a massive gap with the guy he needs to take, which is Celebrini coming down the middle. Because he doesn't do that, when you have a guy as good as Celebrini, that's enough room to be a problem, and he just doesn't quite get there in time as Celebrini puts a missile down. While I don't think the Sharks are very good, Macklin Celebrini is absolutely great. You give him just enough room, and he's a good enough player to take advantage of that and make you pay. For Cale Makar, the best thing I can say about his game tonight was that he got to play with his brother, which is cool, but it was a rough one for the most part for Cale. Not his best work by any stretch. To check off the box, the Avs have a pretty darn good first period, but they don't win it. Yep, that's step 1. Step 2, the Avs fall behind in the game. That comes 4 minutes into the second period. San Jose is able to get out of their own zone initially here, and as the Avs reload, things kind of disconnect. A stretch pass doesn't really get across the blue line there, which is awkward, and because of the quick turn, it leaves your forwards in a tough spot. They're going from flat-footed trying to recover on this back check, and that's tough to do. The real big problem, though, is Devon Toews is just straight up getting heavily picked here, so he's not able to recover at all on this play. He's not getting held and grabbed and touched. He gets back. This isn't going to be a guy streaking down the middle all alone. It still would have been a 3-on-2, which is bad, but a clear missed call here, even if these things don't get called that often. Picks happen all the time in the NHL. That one was pretty egregious. This sets up Makar for complete failure once again. He's expecting Toews to be back here and not getting picked to hell, which means he can take the puck and be a little more aggressive here while leaving Toews to take that guy. So he gets cooked, Toews is cooked, and it's a clean breakaway. You would like a little bit better recognition. Again, Toews kind of hangs Makar out to dry by not playing a little bit more passive and being ready to defend deeper. But some weird stuff happens there, and then the breakaway, Blackwood can't stop it. Look, is that a pretty blatant pick on Devon Toews that probably should have been called? Yeah, I think so. But also, keep the play in front of you, right? The guy can't pick you trying to get back and defend if you are already back behind him defending. Makar kind of gets hung out to dry there, to be fair, but it was just not a very good night from your top pairing. As much as we love to call Cale Makar an alien and as good as Devon Toews usually is defensively, they are, in fact, mortals. They're allowed to have bad games at times, but it does show just how much the Avs rely on those guys to have a quality night to make their lives a whole lot easier. It was Mackenzie Blackwood in net here. I really don't have a whole lot of problem with what Blackwood did in this game, especially for his first game back. Expectations were pretty low. Maybe in a perfect world, he makes a save on that first goal from Celebrini. The fact that it was Celebrini and an absolute missile of a shot makes that a little bit harder to really put against him. If it was a weaker player, I think you might want that save, though. Maybe the overtime goal, you'd like the glove to be a little bit higher, and he makes that save, which we'll get to. But again, it's just not going to fault the guy who's playing his first game of the season in net for the Avs here. The Avs had plenty of opportunities to outscore any problem you would have there, and they just didn't do it. The good news is, and maybe a little bit of a difference from previous overtime losses this year, is the Avs don't wait for the third period to figure it out and get things back to tied. It might be the weirdest goal of the season for the Avs, though. This actually ends up being a broken breakout for the Avs. A bit of a fumbled puck there by Toews is recovered and is enough to get it to the red line where Nichushkin just gets it into the zone. And because of that bobble, the Sharks end up way overcommitting up to the ice, similar to what we saw from some of the goals scored against the Avs. And that creates a 2-on-1 opportunity with Leckie and MacKinnon. Leckie does a great job to get it to MacKinnon in the middle. MacKinnon all alone makes a good move, goes to the backhand hard. Askarov makes a great initial save here. It's off the pad. Puck is still loose. You're going to see it dribble out right into this area of the crease as, Sharks player just straight up runs into and knocks his own net off. As that is developing, both Leckie and MacKinnon get back to this puck and do shoot it into that net, or at least where that net would have been. Credit to the Avs for playing through the whistle and making sure they do all the right things here. It was initially waved off, as you'll see the ref wave it off here, but after talking about it, the refs get together, they call it a good goal. I think the refs ultimately got the call right on this one. Pretty clearly an imminent scoring chance, in my opinion. I do think it's a little bit funny that technically Nathan MacKinnon's 10th goal of the season does not have a shot type, and he is just awarded the goal because of the net coming off like that. Ultimately, they all count the same, and that goal would be enough for the Avs to get 1 point out of this game. This is the part where the Avs get into the third period, and I have to remind you that Colorado is on a Sega Baba here, so as you get deep into the third, their legs do start to go. It was significantly lower events, but even then, the Avs still outpossessed the Sharks in the third, had more scoring chances and more high danger chances than the Sharks in that period. On the whole, the Avs doubled up the Sharks in scoring chances in this game at 5-on-5, 31-15, and high dangers were 12-4. The Avs were significantly better at generating offense in pretty much every aspect of this game. I know their Avs power play wasn't good, but the Sharks power play was pretty inarguably worse, truly bad. In all situations, the Avs expected goals for was over 3 in this game, so they just came up a goal short of probably what they should have generated. If it makes you feel better, the Avs PK looked really good again and probably should have had a shorthanded goal, but just didn't. And as such, you go to overtime. There was, for one shining moment, a chance. They put Val Nichushkin out there for a opportunity on the ice, and he actually makes a good play. He picks up the puck, he drives the net, he gets to the net. Just a good save by Askarov. It doesn't go your way, and overtime continues. And then they put Nathan MacKinnon and Marty Necas out there together, and you already know what happens. The Avs are in complete possession of this puck. There's no rush. You don't have to try to do anything crazy. Necas ultimately drops it to MacKinnon, sets themselves up. MacKinnon has space. Could have skated it here. He's looking to hit Necas on the breakout, and this is just a truly terrible pass. Nowhere near Necas, nowhere near anybody, just rough. The Avs are expecting this to be an icing, which would be bad. It's waved off. They step up. They go back to playing hockey. Not good, right? But it's not horrible. And then you go up the ice, and it's Marty Necas and Nathan MacKinnon. So what are you going to get defending? The answer is nothing. Makar does come over and tries to force the shooter to shoot, which he does, and it just beats Blackwood, and Nathan MacKinnon and Marty Necas have lost another game. That is 3 overtime losses this season where Nathan MacKinnon has just given away the puck. Multiple different fashions of giving away the puck, but it's time to stop. And I know you can make an argument that should have been icing or whatever, but that's still really bad. Your 2 really good offensive players that are terrible defensively and 3-on-3 would have had to take a defensive zone face-off because of that icing. You got to be better with the puck than that in overtime. I mean, I guess that's better than straight up losing the game, but still would not have been good. I looked this up, and maybe you saw my tweet about it, but since Marty Necas has joined the Colorado Avalanche, they have not won a game in proper overtime with Marty Necas and Nathan MacKinnon on the ice. They've only won 2 games in overtime in that stretch, a few in the shootout as well, but I'm only looking at 3-on-3 actual overtime here. The 2 games they won, the forwards on the ice were Nathan MacKinnon and Brock Nelson, and then the other game was Nathan MacKinnon and Logan O'Connor. So Marty Necas and Nathan MacKinnon has quite literally never worked for the Avalanche in overtime. They've never won the game together in overtime. Stop using them together. I know we're past the 10-game mark and results are where it's at. A lot of people don't like to have moral victories at all, even early in the season. And to a certain extent, fair enough. You do want the Avs to win as many games as possible. But when they play this well, and you know things are going to break their way at a certain point, it's not something that I dig too deep into and worry too much about. The Avs have decided they just want to throw every single overtime. I guess that's their prerogative. With that being said, big picture, the Avs get 3 out of 4 points on a back-to-back, which is solid, and right now at this very moment have the most points of any team in the NHL. Yes, there is a small game-in-hand factor, and the Avs by points percentage are only the 2nd best team in the NHL. That's still really good. Outside of the overtime nonsense, the process of this game is good for Colorado and will win them games most nights. Don't read too much more into it than that. That is the end of this game video review. Thank you for watching. I am Rudo, and overtime has got to stop being those 2 guys.